Hey, Ba-da-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. How's everybody doing? It is me. It is Christopher Peele, writer, creator of the Nostradamus Effect, publisher, gaffer, key grip. I think I've said all this before. For Bootlegger Comics. And let's talk about the campaign. We're still going. Let's see. Screen share. There we are. All right. 18 backers. That is more than last time. Just like Coach Greg Doucette. If you ever seen him, he always says do better than last time. Better than last time. We are better than last time. 18 backers. $1,340 raised in 1 month. We still got a long way to go, folks. We're 16% funded. We've got 24 days to go. So get in on this badass occult thriller horror. Look at that. Look at that art. Carlos Granda stepped in here yesterday. Bera, his variant cover. Love that. The eyes, man. The eyes draw me right in every time. I love that. All right. A forgotten relic promising power and doom. An obsessed academic willing to pay the price. 2 people racing to stop her. A secret order guarding our world from the shadows. Another world bent on claiming it. This is the Nostradamus Effect. Some knowledge should stay buried. That's right, folks. All right, let's get in. Let's back this baby. Let's make it happen for the Nostradamus Effect. Okay. Pretty please. And remove. There we are. Okay, we got that. We got that taken care of. Nutty's watching, so that's okay. So yeah. So hey, there was this post on X. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, let me show it here. I'll just share it with ye. Yeah. Share. Here we are. So this was the original post. If you know the riddle of steel, we can be friends. Most kids were introduced to death in this movie scene. Oh, no. This was mine. Yeah, mine too, man. Freaking awesome. So I commented, steel isn't strong, boy. Flesh is stronger. And then this Andrea, replied to my comment, that is strength. That is power. Yes, from Conan the Barbarian. And of course, I gave the all-approving Jeremiah Johnson nod. Yes, good one. And she followed up. I always thought that movie had the most beautiful dialogue, almost poetic. Agreed. But see, here's one thing about that movie for me is I really felt that the non-acting part, or not non-acting, I'm sorry, the non-dialogue acting parts in that movie were just very powerful. Plus, so I comment agreed, plus some of the most powerful non-speaking acting from James Earl Jones in the beginning of the film. Indeed, he became one of my favorite actors after that. Then I followed up, another movie that has great non-speaking acting is Last of the Mohicans, the end with the fight between Magua and Uncas and the aftermath. So let's take a look at Conan the Barbarian. I gotta get out of that and bring up a new screen. Yeah, so let's full size that mofo. So look at this. So his parents have just been killed, or his dad has just been killed. That's his father's sword. Master craftsman, master blacksmith, swordsmith. They presented here to Tulsa Doom. Yeah. Look at the faces, man. Like, I don't know, like this is very powerful. The music is perfect too. You almost see like, is he hypnotizing her? Is he? Right. Goes right back to the sword. Man, yeah. So just a master class there in acting. I've always really loved that scene. I mean, not for any kind of grotesque reasons or anything, but it just all the emotion and everything that is conveyed without uttering a single word or even a sound at all. I just always like that. Now, there's another movie, and I mentioned obviously you saw that was um, Last of the Mohicans. Let's see. And it has a scene at the end. Well, first off, the whole movie is just a masterclass in acting. Um, it has a similar scene with Mugwa, who's the main antagonist, and I can't remember the sister's name. She was Cora Monroe's sister, or Uncas. The fight with Uncas is really where it starts. Who is Mohawk's like stepbrother or adopted brother. Let's see here. Let's skip a bit. That boy. So Mutwa has been given Korra's sister to do with as however he wants. So Hawkeye and Uncas, there's Uncas. He's in love with Korra's sister, and Chingachgook is going after them. Beautiful scenery in this film. Filmed in North Carolina, from what I understand. So again, part of this is setting up the tension with the chase, you know. This will not be denied as Lady Love. With desperation, she knows. Ooh, wow. She knows that. Disdain. Just great acting. Chingachgook.
Mohicans!
Knows what she's in store for her. She goes with it. Always felt like he was calling her almost like a pet. Lean either. Not afraid. Man, I mean, it goes on for a little bit more, but I'm going to stop it there. So yeah, just some really really powerful acting, and I'm sure there's a billion more other films that have similar oh excuse me acting in it, but those are two of my favorites that kind of always come to my mind when I think of just acting and conveying. Like I guess it's similar to in a comic book when you have a page with panels that have no dialogue and you're just letting the art do the storytelling. No, that's the same kind of the same thing there. They're letting the physicality of the actors tell the story. And man, that last one was really moving. But yeah. So, anyways, that was on my mind. That from that X campaign, I thought it would be an interesting topic to discuss. So, okay, you know what else I want to talk about? I'm going to talk about some other um, stories. So, I kind of touched on these the other day. I mentioned, of course, everybody. Well, not everybody, but I've talked about the Nostradamus effect. Uh, then we also have this is planned as the second title we launch. Once we're able to get funding for the Nostradamus effect, the next title will be Sangre de Cristo. And again, that's a noir style detective vampire story. So the inspiration from that came from a documentary where it was this subculture of people. I can't remember if they were in a specific city or if it was nationwide, but they were talking to a subculture of people who identify themselves as real vampires. And of course, obviously, they're not shape shifting and changing and all that kind of stuff, but they, they drink blood from their partners and stuff like that. And I thought, like, if somebody kills one of those folks, would that person go to jail? Would they get arrested for that? Like, oh shit, yeah. Would they get? And my friend who I was watching it with at the time was like, "Man, that'd be a really cool slasher movie." And I thought, "Oh shit, maybe I own something there." So I ran with that idea. So what we've got is this in Chicago. It's set in Chicago, and within Chicago's subculture of these same type people, um, they start being murdered, but like ritualistically. They're beheaded. They have these kind of old Catholic markings carved onto them, and so our detective Michael Riaz and his partner Sully are on the case, and they're trying to figure out what's going on. And they get dragged into this underbelly of wealth and decadence. And it's in the same universe as the Nostradamus effect. None of the same characters, but it's in the same universe, and it's happening at the same time as the events in the Nostradamus effect are happening. So there might be some references here and there to things that are going on in the Nostradamus effect that have caused like global headlines. Oh, excuse me. Oh. So that's Sangre de Cristo, and then after Sangre de Cristo, we have the Cryptid Chronicles, which I talked about that briefly, and I got sidetracked. So it's Bigfoot is the main character. Well, there's actually a few main characters. Bigfoot is kind of the main focus, at least at first. It turns out the whole Bigfoot species, they aren't wild creatures. They're actually, highly advanced, enlightened space monks, right? and Earth is their like naturist retreat. And so our Bigfoot here sees a commercial for it. He's kind of burnt out on the enlightened space monk lifestyle and decides to get in touch with the savage self. And he decides to go back to Earth, where he hasn't been in like 5,000 years or some ridiculous number like that. So he goes back. He wants to connect with his friends, and his friends that he hangs out with, and they hang out in the woods. And their favorite pastime is to prank humans. You know, they'll have these fake footprints that they'll stamp in the ground here and there, and then they watch from afar and laugh. Anyways, so that's just some of the stuff. So one of his friends is the Jersey Devil, and of course he'll be drawn to stereotypes of like Jersey Shore type people, with the hair and he's got beer in his hand, he's fist pumping, he's wearing a wife beater and Bermuda shorts or something like that. And then the Texas Goat Man. I actually live about a mile away from where the Texas Goat Man stuff is supposed to have originated and occur. So there's a bridge called Old Alton Bridge not far from here. It was built in the 1800s. It's no longer a functioning bridge, but it's protected as a historical landmark. So the legend goes that this guy was he was a black guy in the 1800s. He had a successful goat farm. Everybody came from miles around to get his goat meat and things like that, goat cheese, whatever. And so he has a successful farm. Of course, the local KKK people didn't appreciate that. So one night they capture him and they take him out to Old Alton Bridge and hang him off of the bridge. Then while he's hanging, dying, there's more of them go to his farm. They burn his farm down, kill his wife and kids. And the legend goes that if you drive your car up to the bridge, shine your headlights on the bridge at like midnight, I think it was, he would appear. Or if you honked your horn, he would appear. Well, you can't do that anymore because it's all blocked off. You can't, drive your car up there. And I don't know if this happened after they blocked it off or not, but there's also an addendum. You can go and knock on the metal trusses or whatever of the supports of the bridge, and if you do that at midnight, he'll appear as this goat demon man thing. And so I've got this deal where, okay, first I'm leaning into the whole stereotype of, anybody from Texas, of course, loves everything Texas. So he's got, Texas clothes, the Texas hat, Texas clothes, the big belt buckle with the Texas Lone Star. He's got, remember the Alamo tatted up on his back and all this shit. And but they'll be doing something, or he'll be in the middle of a conversation, and then just out of nowhere you'll hear a car horn, or you'll see a flash of light from out of nowhere, or you'll hear a knocking on metal, and he'll be like, oh fuck, and poof, he'll just disappear, and he's been summoned to the Old Alton Bridge, or like he'll be sitting there chit-chatting, and like I said, car horn will go off, or knocking on metal, and somebody's like, what the hell is that? And he's like, son of a bitch, poof, and he's gone. It's always that inopportune moments. There is the Chupacabra, and he's called Chupi for short. And I'm going with, so there's two different types of Chupacabra. There's the original sightings of the Chupacabra, which were, I think, from Puerto Rico, I believe. And it was more like an alien. It had it really was similar to the alien from Species. And there's actually a theory that that's where the sightings came from. Like it was some kind of hysteria from seeing that film. But then, years later, there started being new sightings around the Texas-Mexico border, and it was more of like a dog with mange kind of creature. And I think that's the one most people associate Chupacabra with today. So that's the one we're going to go with. And I want him to look like Peter Lorre. Yeah, let's see here. I don't know if you know. Let me bring up a picture of Peter Lorre because it's entirely possible that nobody even really knows who he is anymore, or at least people who are, I don't know, under 30 years old, maybe. So here's a picture of Peter Lorre. There he is. Yeah. So he always kind of was the creepy guy. You gotta talk like these. And so yeah, he was in the Maltese. I think it was the Maltese Falcon. I don't know, but he was in some classics, and I want the Chupacabra to be designed after him. And he kind of has that same kind of speech pattern, the way he talks. And then I always envision him humping everything. You know, he's always off trying to hump something, and it's incredibly inappropriate. Then there was also Dogman. So, you know, there is a difference between Dogman and a werewolf. So, a Dogman, from what I understand, looks more like a dog, an anthropomorphic dog, right? Whereas a wolfman, of course, is definitely more wolf-like, you know. And I think the Dogman doesn't change, like a guy doesn't change into a Dogman. It's just Dogman all the time. And so what I've got is I've got this character who's called Dogman, but he's actually a werewolf. He's a werewolf who identifies as a Dogman and he doesn't like being called werewolf. He will say, you know, don't misspecies me, all that kind of stuff. So I'm leaning into that whole, you know, trans humor stuff. And, you know, he's real prissy, wears an ascot, but he'll get pissed if you call him a werewolf, you know, because werewolves are so, you know, one thing I've always said, I love werewolves. I wanted to be a werewolf since I was like 12. But I've always thought like I didn't like vampires quite as much. I always categorized vampires as like the Euro trash of monsters, you know, because like you could see them like with gold chains and you know, like those like Adidas, you know, jogging suits or whatever, like doing Slav squat and all that kind of shit. So yeah, or in like a silk shirt, real loud colors. And then I've also werewolves is more kind of like the blue collar monsters, and that's kind of one reason why Dogman doesn't want to be associated as a werewolf because they're so pedestrian. And I think then we have guest stars. We have guest appearances by Mothman and just all these other cryptids. You know, Wendigo, all that kind of stuff. Even though Wendigo is not really a cryptid, I guess Mothman's not really a cryptid either. But anyways, so so that's a funny. It's a satire. You know, it's all tongue in cheek. It's meant to be, you know, bring a little levity to all these serious stories that we've got. I've kind of planned it as I've got it as a serialized story. I had initially thought of doing it as just an animated series, but there's no telling if we would ever get to that point where we could start doing animation. But so then I thought, well, shit, I'll just write it out as comics, and I started writing it out as a 5-page. My initial idea here was to offer it as a stretch goal for 5 pages. We hit a certain amount, I would add 5 pages, 6-page story of the Cryptid Chronicles, and it would be kind of like the origin story or whatever of it. But now I'm thinking of maybe doing it just as a standalone title, but I don't know. We'll see. Or maybe an ash can. That might be kind of fun. So then we have another story called The Last Watch at San Sabah. And that is based on some real events. It's based on this Spanish fort in San Saba, Maynard, I think, or I can't remember the name of the damn town it's in. It's still standing today, and it was constructed in the 1740s, I believe. It is in Menard, Texas. And so it's pretty neat. And it was built to protect this mission they had there. And it seemed to always be kind of undermanned. And, there was a Comanche around there. And in 1758, I believe it was, 2,000 Comanche overran the Presidio and like slaughtered everybody. So I thought that was really interesting history. So what I've done is I've written the story. It takes place during two different time periods. So it starts out in modern day, and it focuses around a group of 5 teenagers aged, I want to say they're 13 to 15. And they live in this small town with nothing really much to do. My kids love watching like Unspeakable and all that stuff on YouTube. So these guys are watching YouTube videos, and they see one about metal detecting, and they see these guys finding all this cool stuff, metal detecting. Oh yeah. And I have a medical condition, and so they decide they want to do it, and they decide they want to go do it at this Presidio, this old ruined fort. But they're going to have to do it at night, so they don't get caught. Which is, it's still a protected area. So they go there, and the story starts out with them going to this Presidio and starting to look for things, and they start finding stuff. Of course, they're kids. They're thinking they're going to find like swords, knives, bullets, all kinds of cool stuff. Well, they found like a spoon and a button from somebody's clothing or something. I don't know. We'll come up with some more mundane things. But then eventually, what happens? They find this sealed cedar box. They're able to open it, and within this box is the journal from the captain who was in charge of the Presidio when it was overrun. So they start reading it, and that's when we go back in time. Was they're reading it, we flash back to that time period, and we see it's the captain, journeying arriving at the Presidio and finding out what's going on, and so it's gonna so there's it turns out there's a thinning of the veil there. So these creatures from the old world is what I call it right now, we've got two different universes. Our universe, which is kind of created around Newtonian science, and we've got this other dimension that is created around supernatural. So magic and all that shit is real over there. And occasionally the barrier between dimensions thins. You have this thinning, and that's when you have sightings of aliens and Bigfoot and ghosts and all this shit, right? So that's how that's happening. So this area is having these thinnings, and these creatures are coming in, and they're attacking villagers and settlers and things, and the Indians, the local Comanches. And this guy has been sent there by the Order of St. George to continue to protect and to find out more about the thinnings and everything like that. So the way I describe this story is it's Stand By Me meets The Mission meets Antlers. Antler. Very cool story. So I've gotten the first 2 issues of that written. I've gotten 10 issues of Cryptid Chronicles done. And let's see, I've got 1 page of art for The Last Watch at San Saba. I'm excited about that story. That story's all these stories are so good. And I know, of course, I'm writing them. I'm going to think that, right? But other people have. I had a guy lower his. I had an artist who's an established artist. He's European artist. Lower his rate so he could work on this book, this story. Is how much he likes it and how much he believes in it. I mean, I'm doing something right. So that's the last Orchard Sansa Bomb. Then we have another title, again connected to, and all these titles are all connected they're all within the Nostradamus Effect universe. Again, not same characters. The only reoccurring entity, I guess you could say, within this universe is a secret. It's a religious order / secret society known as the Order of St. George. I'm not going to go into their history and all that yet. I want to save some of that goodness, but it's a really interesting organization. So their mission is to protect our world from incursions from the other world. Our next story is called Luna Pactum. And this is our werewolf story. I love werewolves. And this one is kind of like, think of it as like the Wolfman meets Yellowstone. So we have our main character is an Army Ranger veteran. It takes place, it's modern day. He's a veteran of Afghanistan. He is a survivor of the incident involving the Kandahar giant. So this is a real legend. Not saying it really happened, but I guess it's a conspiracy theory. Oh yeah, damn, what the hell? I guess it's a conspiracy theory, be considered a conspiracy theory. So anyways, and I want to say it was 92. I could be wrong, but somewhere around there, an army group was patrolling and they went missing in the mountains of Kandahar. So they go missing, and so the army puts together a rescue team to go find them and rescue them. And this team goes to their last known position, and they're going around. They find this cave. They go in the cave, and there's this huge giant eating. There's dead bodies all over the place, and he's eating the members of that lost group. I don't know not a platoon. I don't know. Anyways, so it starts this huge firefight. My glass is crooked. Or is my head crooked? Starts this big firefight that lasts a while, and the giant kills some members of the rescue team. They finally are able to take him out after something like 30 minutes of constant fire. And so they kill it, they radio it in, and Black Hawk helicopter supposedly comes down and choppers the body out and is never seen again. The body's never seen again, and that's kind of the last that is ever heard of it. So this main character is a veteran of that. So, now we're in modern day. He's suffering from PTSD, not only just from war in general, but of course from this Kandahar giant event that he was involved with. He roams town to town, up and down the dial. Maybe you and me were never meant to be, but baby, think of me once in a while. I'm at WKRP in Cincinnati. Yeah. Anyway, sorry. So he's roaming around town to town and can't hold a job. He's got all the typical PTSD traits, right? Can't form relationships, whatever. So he camps out, as he's roaming, looking for work, odd jobs, things like that. And he comes in contact with this family who brings him on as a ranch hand. And I think I'm going to leave it with that. They're connected with werewolves, and I'm going to leave it with that. So that story's way off. So the release schedule right now is the Nostradamus Effect, number one. Then it would be followed up with Sangre de Cristo, then that would be followed up by Luna Pactum. Now, if I'm able to generate, once the Nostradamus Effect is out, reviews come in, people respond to the story and the art, word will spread, and hopefully these, crowd funds will be more and more successful. And then I can add things back as stretch goals, like the Cryptid Chronicles, like The Last Watch at San Sabah, things like that. So, yeah, that's pretty sure that's it right now for my not Nostradamus, for my bootlegger universe stories. I do have a lot of standalone stories that I have ideas for and are in some form of production, but that's pretty much all that's on my mind. I just wanted to share with everybody and thought, some folks might find that interesting and, get a little insight into, bootlegger comics, get a little insight into me and what I have planned for bootlegger once we get going. I mean, the big scope of bootlegger comics is bootlegger entertainment. We would focus on comics. Then if comics grows and grows and grows and grows, and we do well enough, then we'll start implementing some animation. But again, it's all small steps, right? Because you try to take things on too quickly, and you're doomed. So. And it wouldn't be like, okay, we reached this point with comics, we're going to animation, so stop comics, let's do animate. No, comics always come first. And if we then animation and then, merchandising and things like that. So, and then God willing, if we continue to grow and grow and grow, would be films and television. That's the dream, right? But the focus is the story. And that is where bootlegger comics is the heart of everything. That's where all the stories come from. And it's just the wellspring from which they flow. So that's me. That's bootlegger comics. I hope some folks enjoyed this little TED Talk. And it is Saturday, 6:19 p.m. And I hope you guys have a great day and enjoy the rest of the weekend. Happy Easter and all that good stuff. Night night.